this video, I'm going to do some book giveaways. I'll give instructions at the end of the video for how to win. I think you have decent chances, so it'll be, hopefully this will be fun for people. First is my new book on humility. It is so weird to, I know, how do you talk about your own book on humility? It's so weird. At any rate, this came out last week. The theme is that humility leads to joy. It's a devotional, pastoral book, not an academic book. It's short. It has discussion questions designed for small groups to use for questions, for discussion, for study, for individual readers, for, it's not just a theology book. The whole idea, it talks about church dynamics. If you're a leader, if you're a church member, humility in relation to your peers, how to fight the sin of envy, mental health and social media struggles, and how humility is relevant to those. I start off the book with the ending of The Hobbit, where Gandalf the wizard says to Bilbo, basically, Bilbo, you're not really a big deal. It's not about you. And Bilbo's response is, thank goodness. And then they smoke their pipes. It's the idea about humility as a relief. It's a burden to be a big deal. Humility is a relief. It's relaxing. It's nourishing for our soul. It's conducive for our relationships and for productivity. It leads to strength. It leads to just sanity. Humility, pride leads to insanity. Pride is the core of sin. Humility is the converse of that. The one way I put it, humility is to our soul what a good night's sleep is to our body. This is the theme. So it was really edifying for me to work on. I hope it could be helpful for people. I'll give away two signed copies of that if you're interested. You can also see a link to it if you want to buy it in the video description. But the main thing I want to talk about is this book on, this is such an awesome Bible. You saw the picture of it in the thumbnail maybe. The ESV Church History Study Bible. It's an amazing resource. I'm going to give away 3 copies. It is about a $60 value. You can also see a link if you want to buy your own on Amazon. It's such a cool resource. What you do is it's got all these study notes from about 400 different figures all throughout church history, from the earliest of church fathers to 20th century people, all throughout. And it's got study notes. I'll put up a picture of in the Sermon on the Mount so you can see Jerome, Augustine, Jonathan Edwards, others. And, you're reading the text and then you're going down, you're seeing what these great theologians have said about the text. So it's a way of reading the scripture with the historic church. What a cool resource. It's also got 60 this passage in history callouts. So, I'll put up a picture. I think it's John Milton, his great book, Paradise Lost. If you've ever read that book, an amazing, epic poem. So that's on Genesis 3. So it'll talk about the significance of various passages as they've reverberated out. And I think it's got one for Luther on Romans 1:17, of course. Things like that, passages that have made an impact in church history. It's got articles and creeds at the very end. Carl Trueman, who's a great church historian and historical scholar, has an article on tradition in Catholicism versus Protestantism, articles like that. I'll put up a picture of that, many others like that. It's got a glossary. It's got an introduction to each book. It's got a full concordance. It's got an author index. So those 400 people, you can go back and read who they were, a paragraph summary of them. That's what I got to do. That was my job for this Bible. It was so fun to learn about all these different figures because some of them I'd never heard of before, So that was really cool. Here's how you can win in the comments to this video. Put your favorite quote or a favorite quote from church history. In so doing, you are giving me permission to use it on Twitter. I might tweet it out. If you are a patron of mine, mention that. I'll give a little bit of priority to patrons, so I'll also give 1 or 2 to non-patrons. But mention that if you're a patron, I'll give priority to patrons, and then say which book you want, the Bible or my book. And that way I know. Now, the last thing is I'm going to ask you to pay for shipping, and I'm going to say U.S. only. Sorry, but shipping a big, heavy book like this is, honestly, it's so expensive shipping-wise that it'd be cheaper maybe just to buy it. So just U.S. only, and I'm going to ask you to pay for shipping. So put your quote, the quotes that are the best, I will give as the winners after 24 hours. So first 24 hours, so you got decent shots, And what'll happen then is I'll contact you and we'll make arrangements for you to pay for shipping in a convenient way, PayPal, something like that. And then I'll give you the resource for free and I'll mail it to you. So hope that's kind of interest to some people. And whether you win or not, let me just recommend these. Can I recommend them both? It's such a weird thing. It's like, what do you want more? The Bible or my book on humility? I What do you even say? I don't know. The way I start off the book on humility is I reference the quote by Winston Churchill when he's speaking about one of his political opponents, and he says, he's a humble man, but he has much to be humble about. And I say, that is my only qualification for writing this book. I have much to be humble about. That's true. But especially, let me recommend that you pick up a copy of this if you're interested in learning more about church history. It's a great way to read the scripture with the witness of church history right there on the same page as you're doing so. So what a cool resource. Thanks to Crossway for putting them out. All right, hope that's of interest to people. Thanks for watching this.